Anton Johnson was going through the papers in his office. Everything was annoying. The weather outside was nasty and slushy, and the profits were even less this month. He couldn't understand what was wrong with his restaurant, which was located almost in the center of the city. There were always a lot of customers, not for the first year. He put her in this position with a certain purpose. Amanda had to be both ears and eyes, and the girl, though impenetrably stupid, coped with this role perfectly. He knew everything about his employees, who and when drank an extra glass of tea, who drank what, who breathed, who wanted what. Sometimes Amanda overheard conversations of clients that were interesting to him. It is always useful to know about wealthy people what others do not know. "Yes, Anton Johnson, you called me." The girl came up to him and almost pressed against him, but he looked at her menacingly. One of the conditions of communication with the swamp is that at work, no one knows about anything. Today, after closing, no one will leave. The meeting will not. Amanda flashed offended eyes and replied, "Well, I'll pass everything. Need to lean, and not pass, but make sure that everyone stays." The girl pouted her lips, and Anton Johnson even licked his parched lips, but his A-lines began near his ears, and his skirt ended about the same way. When the restaurant closed, the owner went out. "Well, I gathered you today to understand the reason for the drop in profits." One of the waitresses, a short girl with a strange name, Karen, said, "Why am I surprised? Only from my tables today there were 7 returns." The rest of the waiters also clucked. "It's already annoying when you are served what you have and have to listen." Anton looked at Amanda. She was standing a little aside and with special attention looking at her nails. "Very interesting. Why does the owner know nothing about the returns?" He turned to the chef, Samuel Anderson. "What's the matter?" A very imposing man jumped up. "What's the matter? And it's you I wanted to ask you. How can cutlets made of minced meat, which dogs don't eat, chops be tasty? Have you ever heard of chops made of frozen meat?" "Perry, Samuel Anderson, you know very well how the price of food has gone up. In order to stay afloat and pay salaries, you have to look for something cheaper. But the task of a cook is to be able to cook from what you have. That's what everyone started, both waiters and cooks, and even the cleaning lady shouted that we should bring floor cloths from home for the sky because Anton Johnson doesn't care about anything." He listened to it for 10 minutes. He listened to all this, and eventually, he got fed up. "But well, so I'm bad at everything. Why am I bad at everything? And why, apparently, because I turn a blind eye to what you do. Take Karen, for example. Tell me why you're taking cutlets and other local produce out of the restaurant. You know you're doing it for the police. You're all stealing from me this month, and I'll deduct everything for your misdemeanors, so don't whine about your salary. It'll go up. I'll continue the calculation." People started to talk indignantly, but Anton Johnson was already moving towards the exit. He was so angry that he left without even waiting for her. Ashley remembered about it only at home, but decided that it was too late for her to get there on her own. Anton Johnson never had a wife. He was over 40, and he had no family or children. Only such Amandas from time to time replaced each other. Yes, he had a status and had to go to receptions and not alone. With anyone, young beautiful girls who accompanied him were always the envy of his business colleagues. Anton Johnson poured himself a brandy and sat in the chair. He was successful. He was not ugly. He was happy. No. He did not like such empty evenings, because all sorts of thoughts came into his head, and he was in love with a beautiful girl. But the love of money won out in him, and he just gave in to her and did what no one ever does. She trusted him and loved him. The man shook his head. "No, you can't do that." He picked up his phone and called his old friend, who had a big hotel in town. They agreed to meet at the nearest bar and have a good drink in the center. Half an hour later, Anton was already ordering, and in another 5 minutes, Ivan appeared, crumpled something or other. He waved his hand, and he felt bad, and Alyssa filed for divorce. "Anton, as ours to you was such love, why would it be? I'm an idiot. I ruined everything, our secret. I have a new, like from the cover of a magazine, but I thought, once and all, and this is my wife, she came to me like, let him go, we love, it cannot be. He looked at the other and wanted to say, how can you be such a bastard? They all knew his wife, a beautiful woman who gave Vanya a son and a daughter. She was beautiful and smart, but also a wonderful hostess. They all loved to go to his house because you don't get such treats in any restaurant, and you can't taste them. Any sport and everyone in the family had something that attracted guests to their house. Maybe Anton won't stop too. Alyssa, forgiveness is asked almost on your knees, but she doesn't want to listen to me and doesn't come and doesn't scare anyone. She has separate affairs. Well, what can I say? Let's hope for the best. Thanks, mate. They had a drink, and then they had a bit more in the bathroom. I'm a bit more relaxed. What happened to you? I'm tired of listening to taxis. I'm sick of the restaurant staff. I gave them my word. They gave me 10 times more profit than Alan's pads. I think I can help you, Anton smiled. Then you will be at the helm while I rest. I have no contract and one person. She is like a person who pulls everyone out of a crisis. She has a cool education, and she can make the most unprofitable place profitable in a short time. I do not believe that such people do not exist, but they do. I'll tell you what she's like. I'll tell you the rest. Well, I don't want to talk about it now. You intrigue me. Anton made a phone number and carefully wrote it down from Eileen and promised to meet her tomorrow. From his wife, Anton went home to sleep. The next day was so bad that he even closed the curtains in his office and called Ashley to him. Then she came in and defiantly stepped away from him. But Amandachka, just do not pout. There were urgent matters. Amanda looked at him incredulously, then shrieked and rushed to him. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Everyone run! It must be our savior. Amanda let the visitor in and slipped out of the office. They quickly talked. The woman instantly shouted any questions, and Anton Johnson made sure that even he was far away from her training. It seemed that she knew about business and everything, but at the same time she was very strict and correct. Several times Anton Johnson thought that the woman's face was somehow vaguely familiar, but his head promised to call back, and the woman left. Anton noted her impeccable trouser suit, high heels, and perfect figure. He immediately dialed Ivan's number, judging by the voice. But it was even worse than wine. Like, where did you find this miracle? I felt like a student in an exam. He grinned. Not to remember last year. They wanted to take away my hotel, so only Eileen helped me. Yes, well, it's just a treasure. I've already ordered tickets, by the way. Wait, you're awake? What's Elvira? She was in prison, and she did a lot of time. She's an ex-convict. Anton was at a loss for words. But I assure you she will raise any enterprise from the ruins. Of course, it'll be completely off the books. I don't trust her as much as I trust myself. Anton didn't think long. He didn't care how she would re-educate his employees. If she succeeded, they wouldn't care who she was in the past. Let them taste the joy of change. You will be managed by a new manager. You will do everything she says, and it is better not to disobey her. And this lady has a very criminal past. He saw the perplexed looks of the staff, and the only or who immediately called Elvira back and explained that you can start tomorrow. All the necessary documents and papers he left on the desk in the office. Early in the morning, they went on a warm holiday. 3 weeks flew by like one day. Anton from time to time rang the doorbell and she reported, and he realized that if everything was as she said, things in the restaurant and really go uphill. No one else bothered him because, on holiday, he took a brand new SIM card. In the evening, he called Elvira and warned her that tomorrow he would come. Good, Anton Johnson. I'll be waiting for you. Yesterday, he proposed to Alyssa, who happily agreed. Silly but beautiful and in bed fire. What else does he need? But he will not be won. And on the last night before his return, he dreamed of the sky. So many years he had not dreamed for so many years, and then there you are. She laughed and called him somewhere. He followed her, smiling stupidly, and then ran. He kept calling him, call 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 him, and then she disappeared at the edge of the river birch. He couldn't resist and flew down. He woke up to his own screaming. Amanda was asleep. He went out on the balcony. One day, many years ago, he and she met in a big restaurant in a very big city. She was the manager, and he was hired as an assistant. The love between them burst like fire, like an explosion. They dated for 3 months and decided to get married, but then a great opportunity came up to rent a restaurant with a lot of money while the owner was on holiday. Everything might not have opened, but for some reason it did. He had 2 options: to return the money and lose his job, or not to return it and start his own business, which, by the way, was successful, but he would have to answer to Eva for the money. He chose the second option. He had no idea what happened there and how he went abroad, where he studied the restaurant business for a year, and when he came back, he changed his name and opened his own restaurant. Anton and Amanda, glistening with tan, got out of the taxi. The restaurant car park was completely empty, and even a stupid girl or Amanda realized that something was wrong. In the middle of the hall, at the table, sat River. She was pulling wine from a glass with a grin, looking at him. "Hello, Kevin?" He jerked as if from a blow, and Elvira took off her glasses. Anton coldly did not recognize him, and he thought he did not have to introduce himself. "Well, come in without hesitation. You can see what's going on. Where is everyone? Where are the visitors? They are visitors because there's no one to feed them. I tried very hard to find each of my employees a good job. You're crazy. You're going to answer me. Such that I did. I answer all the 6 years that I spent. I did. I imagined this very moment." Anton slumped in his chair. Amanda looked at Elvira in horror and handed Anton a stack of papers. "His darling, this is my gift to you. You can think of it as a twig. It's a liquidated damages bill. Your restaurant undertook to organize 2 weddings for very influential people in this city but failed. You will now have a lot of time, almost like I had in my time." River got up and headed for the exit, stopping next to Amanda. "Run, girl. When this man has no money, he can refuse anyone, even the closest." And River went outside and took a deep breath. And if you like this story, please support me with a thumbs up button. To learn about the release of new interesting stories when you subscribe, click on the bell. All the best to you. All.